To our amazing viewers at Cheating Tales Lab, we'd love to hear, which part of the world are you joining us from? Let us know. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. The Call. Wade Robertson had always believed in the simple mathematics of a good life. An honest day's work plus a loving family equals happiness. At 34, he'd built exactly that. His architectural firm specialized in designing sustainable community centers, work that paid well enough to provide comfort without the soul-crushing hours of corporate architecture. His daughter Emma, 8 years old with her mother's dark curls and what he thought were his green eyes, was the center of his universe. And Christina, his wife of 9 years, was the woman who'd once made him believe in fairy tales. He was reviewing blueprints for a youth recreation center in Oakland when his father called. "Wade, is your wife home?" Fred Dawson's voice carried an edge Wade had only heard a handful of times. When Wade's mother died, when his sister's husband was in that car accident, when something was catastrophically wrong. Wade glanced at the clock. 2:47 p.m. No, she's at the art gallery. Thursday's her late day. Why? What's wrong? Go to Emma's room. Check under her bed. Don't let Christina know you found it. Wade's hand tightened around his phone. Dad, what the hell are you talking about? Just do it, son. Call me back. And whatever you do, Fred's voice cracked slightly. Don't contact your wife until we talk. The line went dead. Wade sat frozen for 3 seconds, then pushed back from his desk, so hard his chair rolled into the bookshelf behind him. He took the stairs 2 at a time, his heart hammering against his ribs like it was trying to escape. Emma's room smelled like strawberry shampoo and the lavender spray Christina used on the bedding. Stuffed animals lined the shelves. Drawings of houses and gardens covered the walls. Emma wanted to be an architect like her daddy. Wade's chest constricted. He dropped to his knees beside the white wooden bed frame with its princess-themed comforter. Under the bed was the usual detritus of childhood, a few escaped crayons, a forgotten sock, dust bunnies Christina had missed. But pushed against the wall, hidden behind a storage box, was a burgundy leather portfolio Wade had never seen before. His hands shook as he pulled it out. Inside were documents. The first was a DNA test result from a lab in Sacramento, dated 8 months ago. Wade Robertson was not the biological father of Emma Robertson. Probability of paternity, 0%. The world tilted. He forced himself to keep looking. Behind the DNA test were printed emails between Christina and someone named Marco Berry. Wade's vision blurred as he read. The trust fund matures when Emma turns 9. That's our timeline. Wade's too trusting to see it coming. You're sure the old man doesn't suspect? Fred has no idea. Once we stage the kidnapping, Wade will drain the trust to get her back. 3 million. Then we disappear. You, me, and the girl. Wade's so devoted he'll do anything. And if he doesn't, then we have other options. An accident. He works alone in that office late most nights. Wade couldn't breathe. There were more documents, handwritten notes about his schedule, his routines, the security codes to his office, photographs of his father's house, bank statements showing Christina had been siphoning money for 2 years into an account Wade didn't know existed. And at the bottom, a burner phone. He turned it on with trembling fingers. Text messages between Christina and Marco scrolled past, each one a knife wound. Countdown. 4 months until Emma's birthday. Then we're free of Wade for good. Does she suspect her daddy isn't real? Emma? She's just a kid. She'll adjust. Kids always do. And if Wade tries to fight for custody after the divorce, there won't be a custody battle. There won't be a Wade. Wade Robertson sat on his daughter's bedroom floor, surrounded by stuffed animals and princess posters, holding proof that his entire life was a lie. The woman he loved was planning to rob him, kidnap the daughter he'd raised, and quite possibly murder him. He should call the police. He should call a lawyer. He should. His phone buzzed. Fred calling back. Did you find it? His father asked. Wade's voice came out hollow. How did you know? Marco Berry came to see me yesterday. Said he wanted to prepare me for what was coming. Told me Christina was going to divorce you, that Emma wasn't yours, that I should convince you not to fight it. He was cocky, Wade. Too cocky. Said things that didn't add up. I had a friend who works at the county clerk's office look into him. He's got a record. Fraud, extortion. I hired someone to dig deeper, and they found enough for me to know you needed to see what was under that bed. Dad, they're planning to. I know. I've read copies of everything. I photographed it all when Christina was out last week. Fred's voice hardened. Marco made a mistake coming to me. He thought he could manipulate an old man. What he doesn't know is that I didn't build Dawson Construction from nothing by being stupid. And he sure as hell doesn't know what this family does to people who threaten our own. Wade closed his eyes. Fred Dawson was 72, a retired contractor who'd spent 50 years in the rough world of construction. He'd taught Wade that success required strategy, timing, and the willingness to get your hands dirty when necessary. What do we do? Wade asked. First, you act normal. Christina can't know we're onto her. Second, you document everything. I'll send you the number for Terrence Irwin, a private investigator I've used before. Third, we gather our people. Because, son, we're not just going to stop these bastards. Fred's voice dropped to something cold and promising. We're going to destroy them. Chapter 2, The Mask. Wade spent the next hour photographing every document, every text message, every piece of evidence. Then he carefully returned everything exactly as he'd found it, checking 3 times to make sure the portfolio was positioned correctly behind the storage box. He was in his home office, staring blankly at his computer screen, when Christina came home at 6. Hey, babe. Her voice floated up the stairs, light and cheerful, the voice of a woman without a care in the world. Emma's still at Jamie's house for the playdate. I'm going to start dinner. Wade's stomach turned. Jamie Stout, Christina's best friend since college. Was she in on it too? Sounds good, he called back, impressed by how steady his voice sounded. I'll be down in 10. He waited until he heard her moving around the kitchen, then called Terrence Irwin. The private investigator answered on the second ring. You must be Fred's son. He briefed me. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Can you find out everything about Marco Berry? And Christina's friend Jamie Stout? I need to know who else is involved. Already started. Marco Berry, 37, originally from Miami. 2 fraud convictions, served 18 months total. He's been in the Bay Area for 3 years. Works as a financial consultant, but has no legitimate clients I can find. Lives in a condo in San Jose that's way beyond his means. Want to guess who's been making the rent payments? Wade closed his eyes. Christina. Bingo. Payments from her secret account. I'll have more by tomorrow, including surveillance. As for Jamie Stout, she's clean so far, but I'll dig deeper. Fred mentioned you need a lawyer too. Carlton Phillips is the best. Handles high-stakes divorces, but he also knows how to deal with complicated situations. I'll set up a meeting. After hanging up, Wade forced himself downstairs. Christina was making pasta, humming along to music from her phone. She wore the blue sundress he'd bought her for their anniversary. Her dark hair was pulled into a loose bun, a few curls escaping to frame her face. She looked exactly like the woman he'd fallen in love with 10 years ago at a gallery opening in Sacramento. How had he never seen it? The lies, the betrayal. Had there ever been any truth between them? You look stressed, Christina said, glancing over her shoulder with a concerned smile. Tough day. Wade moved behind her, forcing his arms around her waist, forcing himself to kiss her neck the way he always did. Every touch felt like touching poison. Just the usual deadline pressures. This smells amazing. She leaned back against him. You work too hard. Maybe we should take a vacation. Emma's birthday is coming up. We could do something special. Disneyland? Or maybe, she paused. Maybe somewhere more exciting. Just the 3 of us. The 3 of us. Before you fake her kidnapping and destroy me. That sounds perfect, Wade said. Let's plan it. That night. After Emma came home full of stories about her playdate, after dinner and bath time, and reading 3 chapters of Charlotte's Web, after Christina kissed him goodnight and rolled over to sleep, Wade lay in the darkness and planned. He couldn't just go to the police. Christina and Marco had been careful. The emails mentioned plans, but not explicit details. A good lawyer could argue it was just talk, an affair fantasy that went nowhere. And what about Emma? The girl he'd raised, who called him daddy, who drew pictures of the buildings they'd design together someday. In the eyes of the law, if he wasn't her biological father and couldn't prove Christina was an unfit mother, he might lose her entirely. No, this required something more. His phone buzzed with a text from Fred. Meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m. My house. Terrence and Carlton will be there. Bring everything. Then another text. Son, I know what you're feeling. But we do this smart. We make sure they can't hurt anyone ever again. Trust me. Wade texted back. I trust you, Dad. The next morning, Wade told Christina he had a client meeting across town. Her kiss goodbye felt like betrayal made flesh. At Fred's house, Wade found his father in the study with two other men. Terrence Irwin was 50-something, lean and weathered, with the alert eyes of someone who'd seen every kind of human ugliness. Carlton Phillips was younger, 40 at most, dressed in an expensive suit that somehow made him look more dangerous rather than professional. "Gentlemen," Fred said, "let's get to work." Terrence spread photographs across the desk. Marco Berry in the last 48 hours. Here he is meeting with Christina at a coffee shop in Mountain View. Note the burner phones. Here they are at a motel in Sunnyvale. Here's Marco meeting with someone interesting. He tapped one photo. A thin man with nervous eyes and a neck tattoo. Enoch Vasquez. Drug dealer, but he's branched out. For the right price, he provides fake IDs, documents for smuggling people across borders, and, according to my sources, he's been involved in staged kidnappings before. All fake, all for insurance fraud or ransom schemes. Marco paid him $15,000 last week. Wade's blood went cold. They're really going to do it. Carlton Phillips leaned forward. Here's what we know legally. You're Emma's presumptive father. You're on the birth certificate. You've raised her since birth. That gives you parental rights regardless of biology. However, Christina could challenge that. The evidence of her plan is good, but circumstantial. What we need is for them to actually commit a crime we can prove, but one that doesn't put Emma in real danger. You want them to think they're succeeding, Wade said slowly, so we can catch them in the act. Exactly. But more than that. Carlton's smile was sharp. We need to make sure that when this is over, they're not just arrested. They're ruined. Financially, socially, legally. No possibility of parole, no sympathy, no second chances. Fred stood and walked to the window. Wade, your mother and I took 8 years to have a baby. 8 years of trying, of hoping. When you finally came, you were everything. I would have burned down the world for you. The same way you'd burn it down for Emma. He turned, and Wade saw something fierce and unforgiving in his father's eyes. These people made a mistake. They threatened my granddaughter. They planned to destroy my son. Now we show them what happens when you come after a Dawson. Terrence pulled out another folder. I've got more. Marco's been in contact with someone else, Jamie Stout's ex-boyfriend, Antoine Strickland. He works as a nurse at County General. My guess? They need him for something medical. Sedatives, maybe. Something to make sure Emma stays quiet during the fake kidnapping. Wade's hands curled into fists. How do we stop them? We don't stop them, Carlton said. We let them think they're winning. We document everything. And when they make their move, we spring the trap. But Wade, you have to play this perfectly. One slip, one moment where Christina suspects you know, and they'll either disappear or accelerate their timeline. I can do it, Wade said. His voice was steel. What's the plan? Fred smiled. First, we find their weakness. Everyone has one. Then we exploit it. I already found it, Terrence said. Marco Berry has a gambling problem. He owes money to some very unpleasant people in Las Vegas, $200,000. That's why he needs this score so badly. And Christina? She's been telling Marco she loves him, but her secret account has multiple transactions to a private investigator in Los Angeles. She's been having him followed for months. She doesn't trust him. There's no honor among thieves, Carlton murmured. Wade felt the pieces clicking together. We turn them against each other. Now you're thinking, Fred said. But first, you need to understand something, son. What we're about to do, it's going to require you to be someone you've never been before. Cold. Calculating. Can you do that? Wade thought about Emma's laugh, about the way she climbed into his lap with her books, about the bedroom he'd painted pink and filled with dreams. He thought about Christina's lies, about Marco's threats, about the casual cruelty of planning to murder a man for money. Yes, he said. I can. Chapter 3. The Truth Unveiled. Over the next 2 weeks, Wade Robertson became two people. During the day, he was the loving husband and father, the successful architect, the man who trusted his wife. At night, he became someone else, someone who studied his enemies, who learned their patterns, who built a trap as carefully as he designed buildings. Terrence's surveillance revealed the full scope of the conspiracy. Marco and Christina met 3 times a week, always at different locations, always careful. They'd been planning this for over a year, since shortly after Christina had discovered Emma's true paternity through a heritage DNA test she'd done secretly. The biological father was a one-night stand from a conference in Chicago, a man who'd never known about Emma, and whom Christina had no intention of ever contacting. But the revelation had changed something in her. She'd confessed the affair to Marco, whom she'd been seeing on and off for 5 years, and together they'd hatched their plan. Wade's family money, the trust fund his grandmother had established, Emma's upcoming 9th birthday when the funds matured. It was all just opportunity to them. Jamie Stout was indeed involved, though peripherally. She knew about the affair, but believed Christina was planning a simple divorce. She'd agreed to provide an alibi for the day of the planned kidnapping. Christina would be at the gallery with Jamie when Emma disappeared. Antoine Strickland, the ex-boyfriend, had provided pediatric sedatives that would keep Emma calm but not harm her. The kidnapping was planned for 3 weeks away, on a Saturday when Wade would be at his office catching up on work, his predictable routine. Emma would be taken from a park near their house. The ransom would be $3 million, to be paid within 48 hours. Marco had already arranged for fake passports and travel to Costa Rica, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. What Christina and Marco didn't know was that Wade now knew every detail. What they also didn't know was that Wade had his own plans. On a Friday night, 2 weeks into his investigation, Wade took Christina to dinner at the expensive Italian restaurant where he'd proposed. She wore the emerald earrings he'd given her on their 5th anniversary. She laughed at his jokes, touched his hand across the table, played the role of devoted wife with Academy Award precision. "I've been thinking," Wade said carefully, "about what you said about a vacation. What if we made it really special? Took a few months, even. I could step back from the firm. You could take a sabbatical from the gallery. We could travel with Emma, show her the world." Christina's eyes lit up, but Wade saw something else beneath the excitement. Calculation. "That sounds amazing, but could you really take that much time off? And the money. I've been thinking about that too." Wade lowered his voice. "My grandmother's trust, it matures when Emma turns 9. $3 million. What if we didn't wait? What if I talked to the trustees about early access? We could do everything we've ever dreamed of." He watched her face carefully. Greed, surprise, suspicion, all flickering across her features before she settled on pleased astonishment. "Wade, are you sure? That money is for Emma's future." "We're her future," Wade said, hating every word, hating how easily the lies came now. "And I want to make memories with my girls while we can. Life's too short, you know." That night, Christina's texts to Marco were frantic. Terrence had cloned her burner phone. Every message appeared in real time on Wade's laptop. "He's talking about accessing the trust early. This could change everything." "How early?" "He's meeting with the trustees next week. If he gets the money before Emma's birthday, we don't need the kidnapping. We could just divorce him and take half in the settlement." "Don't be stupid. Half isn't enough. We stick to the plan." "But Marco, if he has the money liquid, we could." "We could what?" "Ask nicely." "Christina, I owe people in Vegas who don't take IOUs. We need all of it, and we need Wade out of the picture. His death has to look natural, or the money goes to Fred and we get nothing. The kidnapping gives us control. We stick to the plan. I'm just saying maybe there's another way." "There's no other way. Stop thinking. You're not good at it." Wade screenshot the messages and sent them to Carlton. 20 minutes later, his lawyer called. "Perfect," Carlton said. "He's showing his hand. He doesn't respect her, and she's starting to doubt him. We can work with this. Tomorrow, you need to do something for me. Something that's going to be hard." "What?" "You need to tell Emma the truth. Not all of it, but enough. She needs to know that something bad might happen, and she needs to know what to do." Wade's heart clenched. She's 8 years old, and they're planning to drug her and use her as bait. "Wade, I know this is horrible, but if we're going to protect her, she needs to be prepared. Child psychologists say kids are resilient when they understand what's happening. It's the uncertainty and helplessness that traumatizes them." That night, after Christina had gone to bed, Wade sat with Emma in her room. She was in her princess pajamas, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. "Daddy, you look sad." Wade pulled her into his lap. "Emmy, I need to talk to you about something important. Can you be a big girl and listen carefully?" She nodded, her green eyes, so like his own, even if they weren't connected by blood, wide and trusting. "Sometimes," Wade said slowly, "people aren't who we think they are. Sometimes people we love make bad choices. Do you understand? Like when Susie at school stole from the book fair? Kind of like that, but bigger. Emmy, there might be some people who try to take you away from me. They might say it's a game or an adventure, But it's not. If anyone, and I mean anyone, even someone you know, tries to take you somewhere without me or Grandpa Fred, I need you to scream as loud as you can and run away. Can you do that? Emma's lip trembled. Is Mommy one of the bad people? Wade's breath caught. Kids knew. They always knew on some level. I don't know yet, sweetheart. But I'm going to keep you safe, no matter what. I promise you. Do you trust Daddy? Yes. Then I need you to be brave. And I need you to know something else. Wade cupped her face in his hands. No matter what anyone says, no matter what happens, you are my daughter. You will always be my daughter. Not because of blood or biology, but because I choose you. Every single day, I choose you. Do you understand? Tears rolled down Emma's cheeks. Are you going to go away? Never, Wade said fiercely. I'm never leaving you. But some people might try to make it happen. So we have to be smart. You, me, and Grandpa Fred, we're going to beat the bad people. But I need you to trust me and do exactly what I say when the time comes. Okay, Daddy. Wade held his daughter and made a silent vow. Whatever it took, whatever lines he had to cross, whatever laws he had to break, Christina and Marco would pay for every lie, every betrayal, every moment of fear they'd caused. The game was on, and Wade Robertson played to win. Chapter 4, Gathering Allies. The next morning, Wade stood in his father's study with a war council. Fred had invited not just Terrence and Carlton, but 2 more people. The first was Jed Hutchinson, Wade's best friend since college. Jed ran a successful tech startup and had the kind of creative, devious mind that made him dangerous in business. He was also fiercely loyal. When Wade had called him at midnight and said, I need you, no questions asked, Jed had been on Fred's doorstep by 8 a.m. The second was Harvey Farrell, a retired FBI agent Fred had known for decades. Harvey was 70, with silver hair and the calm demeanor of someone who'd seen everything. He'd specialized in white-collar crime and kidnapping cases before retiring. Gentlemen, Fred said, thank you for coming. Wade, tell them everything. Wade laid it out, the DNA test, the emails, the conspiracy, Marco's debts, Christina's betrayal, the plan to kidnap Emma and possibly kill him. He showed them the evidence, the surveillance photos, the text messages. When he finished, Jed was pacing like a caged tiger. I want to kill them. Tell me I get to hurt them. Jed, Harvey said mildly, let's save the creative violence for Plan B. Though I appreciate the enthusiasm. Carlton spread a timeline on the table. The kidnapping is scheduled for 3 weeks from tomorrow. Here's what we know. Marco will take Emma from Maplewood Park at 2 p.m. He'll use chloroform initially, then the sedatives. He's rented a storage unit in Fremont where he'll keep her for the 48 hours. Christina will be at the gallery with Jamie, establishing her alibi. The ransom call will come from an untraceable phone. They expect Wade to pay within 2 days. Then they'll return Emma and disappear within a week. Except Wade won't pay, Harvey said. At least not the way they expect. What's your play? Wade looked at each man in turn. I want them in prison. I want Christina to lose everything. Her reputation, her freedom, any claim to Emma. I want Marco to face not just the law, but the people he owes money to. And I want them to know, in the end, that I'm the one who destroyed them. That's a tall order, Terrence said. But doable. Here's what I propose. We let the kidnapping happen, but we control it. We wire Emma with a tracker and an audio recorder. We have cameras at the park. We document everything. And we have someone on the inside. On the inside where? Wade asked. Terrence smiled. I have a friend who owes me a favor, Leonardo Nelson. He's a con artist, currently working legitimate as my payback for keeping him out of jail 5 years ago. He's damn good. I introduce him to Marco as someone who can help with the Costa Rica arrangements. Marco will trust him because he'll present as exactly the kind of criminal Marco wants to work with. Leonardo documents everything, and when it's time, he makes sure Marco can't run. And Christina? Jed asked. Carlton pulled out another folder. Christina's the weak link. She's getting cold feet. The texts prove it. We accelerate that. Wade, you're going to play the devoted husband even harder. Make her doubt Marco. Make her wonder if she's making a mistake. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a conversation with the trustees of your grandmother's trust. We're going to set up a very special transaction. Fred nodded. Tell them. Carlton's smile was razor-sharp. Wade will request early access to the trust, but not all of it. $1 million for that family vacation. The trustees will agree, but with conditions. The money goes into an escrow account that requires both Wade and Christina's signatures to access, and there's a 30-day waiting period for fraud protection. This serves two purposes. First, it tells Marco and Christina that the money is real and accessible. Second, when they try to access it after the kidnapping, we've got them on camera committing fraud. Beautiful, Harvey murmured. What about the actual kidnapping? The girl needs protection. Wade's jaw tightened. That's non-negotiable. Emma doesn't get hurt. Not even scared if we can help it. Understood, Terrence said. Here's how we handle it. The tracker we put on Emma is actually two devices. One is obvious, hidden in her shoe. That's what Marco will find and destroy, making him think he's smart. The second is much more sophisticated, sewn into the lining of her jacket. Military grade, impossible to detect without specialized equipment. We'll know where she is every second. And I'll be 30 seconds behind her at all times, Jed said. I'm serious, Wade. I'll follow the bastard myself. He lays one wrong hand on her, and I don't care about the plan. Harvey held up a hand. We also inform Child Protective Services, off the record, through contacts I still have. They'll have a team on standby. The moment Emma is recovered, they take custody temporarily while we sort out Christina's parental rights. It protects Emma from being returned to her mother while the legal process plays out. Wade nodded slowly. It was a good plan. A smart plan. But there was something else, something darker, that he needed to address. What about after? He asked quietly. After they're arrested, after the trial. Marco owes money to dangerous people. What happens when those people come looking? The room went quiet. Everyone knew what Wade was really asking. Fred stood and put a hand on his son's shoulder. Wade, there's the legal punishment, and then there's the justice that happens in the dark. Your mother would have told me to take the high road. She'd have said that the law would handle it. That revenge makes us no better than them. But, Wade prompted, but your mother isn't here. And these people threaten my granddaughter. Fred's voice went cold. Harvey, you still have contacts with the Vegas crowd? Harvey nodded slowly. I might know someone who could ensure that Marco Berry's debts come due at a very inconvenient time. Say, right after his arrest, when he's vulnerable and exposed. Do it, Wade said. I want him terrified. I want him to know what it feels like to have his life destroyed. Carlton cleared his throat. For the record, I'm not hearing this conversation. I'm a lawyer. I deal in legal remedies. What happens outside my purview is none of my concern. Noted, Fred said. Anything else? Jed raised his hand like they were in school. I have a thought about Christina. She's been working at the Harrington Gallery for 5 years, right? What if the gallery's director found out she's been embezzling from them? Small amounts, but consistent. Say, if someone with tech skills looked at their accounting system and found some interesting discrepancies. Wade turned to him. Has she been embezzling? Probably not. But I can make it look convincing enough that they'll fire her and press charges while they investigate. Even if the charges don't stick, she loses her job and her reputation in the art world. It's a small community. She'll never work in it again. Gentlemen, Harvey said, I think we have a plan. Let's review the timeline one more time. For the next hour, they mapped out every detail. Wade would continue playing the loving husband while slowly introducing doubts about Marco to Christina. Leonardo Nelson would insert himself into Marco's orbit, gaining his trust while documenting everything. The tracker would be placed on Emma 3 days before the kidnapping. Jed would handle the surveillance and be Emma's shadow. Harvey would coordinate with law enforcement, off the record, through old contacts, to ensure rapid response when needed. Carlton would handle all legal aspects, including the trust fund maneuvering and preparing custody documentation. And Fred? Fred would be the general, coordinating everything, making sure his son didn't break under the weight of pretending his marriage wasn't a lie. As the meeting broke up, Harvey pulled Wade aside. Son, I've been doing this kind of work for 40 years. I've seen people consumed by revenge. It becomes all they are. Don't let that happen. At the end of this, you still need to be Wade Robertson, Emma's father. The man who builds community centers and believes in doing good. Don't lose that man in the fight. Wade nodded. I'll try. Don't try. Do it. Because Emma's going to need that man when this is over. That night, Wade lay next to Christina and listened to her breathe. She'd kissed him before sleep, murmured, I love you, against his chest. Every word a lie. Every touch a betrayal. But Harvey was right. He couldn't let this consume him. For Emma's sake, he had to remember who he was. Even as he planned to destroy the woman next to him, He had to hold on to his humanity. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done. Chapter 5. The Deception Deepens. Leonardo Nelson was a work of art. At 45, he looked like every criminal stereotype. Neck tattoo, scarred knuckles, dead eyes. But Wade knew from Terrence that Leonardo had an MBA and spoke 3 languages. He was exactly what Marco Berry needed. The introduction happened at a bar in San Jose. Terrence brought Leonardo. Marco brought his ego. "My friend here," Terrence said, "can get you to Costa Rica clean. New identities, bank accounts, the works. He's pricey, but he's thorough." Marco eyed Leonardo suspiciously. "How do I know you're not a cop?" Leonardo smiled, showing a gold tooth. "Because cops don't have 15 years in San Quentin on their record. Check it yourself. Leonardo Nelson, Extortion and Fraud. Released 2 years ago. These days I help people disappear. You interested or not?" Over the next week, Leonardo became Marco's confidant. He learned about the kidnapping plan, the ransom, the timeline. Every conversation was recorded, every meeting documented. And slowly, Leonardo began planting seeds. "Your partner, this Christina, she's solid? She's fine. Bit emotional, but she'll do what I tell her." Women always get emotional. That's when they become liabilities. "You sure she won't crack when the kid is crying? When her husband is begging?" Wade, listening to the recordings later, heard Marco's hesitation. "She'll hold. She wants out of that marriage bad enough." "If you say so." "Me? I don't trust partners. They always want more, or they get scared. You might want a backup plan. Something that keeps her quiet if she starts to waver." Meanwhile, Wade was executing his own plan with Christina. He came home with flowers, took her to romantic dinners, played the attentive husband. And carefully, delicately, he poisoned the well. "I've been thinking about that vacation," he said one night. "Starting fresh, just the 3 of us. Christina, have you ever felt like life gave you a second chance? Like you could leave behind all your mistakes?" She stiffened slightly. "What mistakes?" "Not you, babe. Me. I worked too much when Emma was a baby. Missed too many moments. I want to fix that. I want to be the father and husband you deserve." Tears filled her eyes. Real or fake, Wade couldn't tell anymore. "Wade, you're a wonderful father. Emma adores you. I adore her too. I can't imagine life without her." He paused. "Or without you. Sometimes I worry. What if something happened? What if I lost you both? It terrifies me." That night, Christina's texts to Marco were illuminating. "He's being so sweet lately. It's making this harder. Stay focused. 2 more weeks. What if we just took the money and left? No kidnapping, just the divorce. You're not getting cold feet now. I told you. His death has to look natural or accidental. The kidnapping provides cover. Stick to the plan. I didn't sign up to hurt Emma. You signed up for $3 million. Figure out what matters more." Wade showed the messages to Carlton. "She's breaking. Should we push harder?" "Yes, but carefully. We need her to follow through with the kidnapping so we can catch them in the act. We're also going to add one more element." Carlton explained. The escrow account with the $1 million would accidentally show up in Christina's email. A document from the trustees, supposedly sent to Wade but CC'd to her by mistake. It would show the money sitting there, accessible in 2 weeks, 1 week before the kidnapping. "She'll see it and think they don't need to kidnap Emma," Wade said. "They could just drain the account. Right? But Marco will convince her otherwise. And we'll have proof of her willingness to commit financial fraud. Plus, her hesitation on the texts gives you leverage for custody. No judge will give her Emma after seeing that she knew about the kidnapping plan." The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for Marco and Christina to walk into it. But 3 days later, everything almost fell apart. Wade came home to find Christina in Emma's room, crying. For a moment, his heart stopped. Had she found the recording equipment? Did she know? "Christina? What's wrong?" She looked up, mascara running down her face. "I'm a terrible mother." Wade forced himself to move slowly, to sit beside her. "Why would you say that? Emma asked me today if I loved her. What kind of mother makes her child doubt that?" Wade's mind raced. He needed to say something, but what? Emmy's 8. Kids ask questions like that. It does mean something. Christina grabbed his hand. "Wade, what if we did run away? What if we took Emma and just disappeared? Started over somewhere new? Just the 3 of us?" This was it. The moment where Christina could choose differently, could back out, could be something other than a monster. Wade found himself actually hoping she'd take the out, choose her daughter, prove there was something human left in her. We could, Wade said carefully. We could go anywhere you want. For a long moment, Christina stared at him. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and Wade saw her expression harden. Never mind, she said, standing abruptly. I'm just being emotional. Forget I said anything. She left the room. Wade checked his laptop later and saw Marco's text. Getting sentimental? Remember what happens if you back out now. I know people, Christina. People who don't appreciate being set up to take a fall. You're in this whether you like it or not. Marco was threatening her. And Christina, instead of going to the police, instead of confessing to Wade, instead of protecting her daughter, had chosen to proceed. Whatever sympathy Wade might have felt evaporated. She'd made her choice. Now she'd live with the consequences. Chapter 6. Countdown. With 1 week until the kidnapping, Wade moved Emma to stay with Fred. He told Christina it was because Fred had been lonely since Wade's mother died, and Emma loved spending time at Grandpa's house. Christina agreed too quickly, relief flashing across her face. She wanted Emma out of the house, wanted distance from her daughter before the betrayal. At Fred's house, Wade sat with Emma and explained more. She'd be going to the park next Saturday with Wade, and a bad man might try to take her. But it was okay. It was part of the plan to catch the bad people. Grandpa Fred would be nearby. Uncle Jed would be watching. And Daddy would come get her before anything scary happened. What about Mommy? Emma asked quietly. Wade couldn't lie to her anymore. Mommy made some bad choices, Emmy. I'm sorry. Will I still see her? I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe sometimes, if that's what you want. But you'll live with Daddy and Grandpa Fred. Is that okay? Emma thought about it, then nodded. Daddy, when this is over, can we get a dog? Wade laughed, tears pricking his eyes. Yeah, baby. We can get a dog. That night, Jed and Terrence did a final check of all equipment. 2 tracking devices in Emma's jacket, impossibly small. An audio recorder disguised as a button. Cameras positioned throughout Maplewood Park. Leonardo had provided Wade with detailed information about the storage unit in Fremont. Layout, security, everything. Harvey had mobilized his contacts. When Wade gave the signal, a FBI rapid response team would be ready. Carlton had all custody paperwork prepared. The trustees had been briefed and were cooperating fully. Everything was ready. On Friday night, the night before the kidnapping, Christina made Wade his favorite dinner. They ate by candlelight. She was beautiful, attentive, the perfect wife. I love you, she said as they cleaned up. Whatever happens, I want you to know that. Wade looked at her, really looked at her. Tried to find the woman he'd fallen in love with 10 years ago. But all he saw was a stranger. A beautiful, dangerous stranger who'd been willing to sacrifice their daughter for money. I know, he said. Because I love you too would have been a lie, and he'd done enough lying. That night, as Christina slept, Wade stood in Emma's empty room. Tomorrow, this would all be over. Tomorrow, he'd either save his daughter and destroy his enemies, or everything would fall apart. He thought about Harvey's warning, about not losing himself in revenge. But standing there in the darkness, Wade realized something. He wasn't the same man he'd been a month ago. That man had been naive, trusting, willing to see the best in people. This man knew better. This man had learned that sometimes, good people had to do hard things. That justice wasn't always served by playing fair. His phone buzzed. A text from Fred. Tomorrow, we end this. Get some sleep, son. You'll need your strength. Wade texted back. I'm ready. But as he lay down in the guest room, he'd been sleeping apart from Christina for days, claiming he didn't want to wake her with work stress. He wondered if that was true. Was he ready to watch his wife get arrested? To see his daughter scared? To become the kind of man who orchestrated elaborate revenge? Then he remembered Emma asking if her mother loved her. Remembered the texts about killing him if needed. Remembered Christina's cold calculation about using their daughter as bait. Yes, he was ready. Let the games begin. Chapter 7. The Kidnapping. Saturday morning dawned clear and warm. Perfect weather for the park. Perfect weather for betrayal. Wade picked up Emma from Fred's house at noon. She wore the jacket with the tracking devices, the button recorder, and sneakers with the decoy tracker in the sole. She looked small and scared, but brave. Remember the plan, Emmy? I scream and run if I can. If I can't, I stay calm and wait for you. That's my girl. Wade hugged her tight. I love you so much. I love you too, Daddy. At the park, everything looked normal. Children on swings, parents watching from benches, joggers on the path. But Wade knew better. Jed was the jogger in the blue shirt. Terrence was the man reading on a bench. Two of Harvey's contacts were posing as a couple having a picnic. And Leonardo had positioned himself near the parking lot, watching Marco. Wade played with Emma for an hour, pushing her on the swings, timing everything perfectly. At 1:45, his phone rang, Carlton as planned. Wade? Emergency at the office. That client from Oakland needs changes to the blueprints, and they need them today. I know it's Saturday, but seriously? Wade put on a good show of frustration. Okay. Let me call Christina. He dialed his wife. She answered on the first ring. Hey, babe. I have to run to the office. Can you pick up Emma from the park? I'm so sorry. A pause. Actually, I'm in the middle of inventory at the gallery. Could she play at the park for another hour? Maybe one of the other moms could keep an eye on her. Wade felt sick. She was condemning their daughter so easily. Christina, I can't leave her alone. Wade, she's 8. The park is safe. She knows not to leave with strangers. Just tell her to stay where you can see her, and you can circle back in an hour. The trap snapped shut. Wade was creating a record of Christina refusing to protect Emma, making it easier to take the child, documenting her negligence. All right, Wade said. I'll be quick. He kissed Emma's forehead, whispered, Uncle Jed is here. You're safe, and left. From his car, parked where he could see the playground, Wade watched. At 2:04 p.m., Marco Berry appeared. He was dressed as a park maintenance worker, orange vest and all. Brilliant disguise. Emma was on the monkey bars. Marco approached slowly, looking around. He said something to her. Emma shook her head and moved away. Good girl. Marco followed, more insistent. Then Wade saw Emma scream and run, exactly as planned. But Marco was fast. He grabbed her, clamped a cloth over her face, chloroform, and Emma went limp. Wade's hands clenched on the steering wheel. Every instinct screamed to intervene. But this was the plan. Let Marco take her. Let him commit the crime. Document everything. Jed was already moving, but carefully, maintaining distance. The cameras caught it all. Marco carried Emma to a van, also labeled as park maintenance, and drove away. Wade followed 3 cars back. Jed was behind him. The tracker on Wade's phone showed Emma's location moving toward Fremont. Everything was working, except Wade felt like he was dying. At the storage unit, Marco carried Emma inside. The tracker showed she was stationary. Audio from the recorder picked up Marco's voice. Okay, kid, sorry about this. Just business. You'll be home soon. Then silence. The sedatives had kicked in. Wade's phone rang. We've got everything, Harvey said. FBI is ready to move. But Wade, are you sure you want to wait? We can grab him now. No, Wade said through gritted teeth. I want the ransom call. I want Christina's reaction on record. I want everything. 3 hours later, as Wade sat in his home office with recording equipment running, the burner phone rang. He answered. Mr. Robertson? An electronically distorted voice. Marco trying to be clever. We have your daughter. $3 million. You have 48 hours. Instructions will follow. If you call police, she dies. If you tell anyone, she dies. Understand? Please, Wade said, injecting terror into his voice. Please don't hurt her. I'll do anything. Good. Wait for our call. The line went dead. Wade immediately called Christina. Wade? What's wrong? You sound. Emma's been kidnapped. Wade let his voice break. Someone took her from the park. They want $3 million. Christina, our baby. Oh my God. Her performance was Oscar-worthy. Shock, horror, fear, all perfectly executed. Wade, we have to call the police. They said no police. They said she dies if I tell anyone. We have to do something. The money, can we get it? The trust. I'll call the trustees. Christina, come home. Please. I need you. I'm leaving right now. When Christina arrived 20 minutes later, her makeup was smudged from crying. She fell into Wade's arms, sobbing. Our baby. Wade, our baby. And Wade held her and hated her and marveled at her ability to lie. To fake grief while knowing exactly where Emma was. While being part of the plan to terrorize their daughter for money. We'll get her back, Wade said. I promise. That night, Christina stayed close, playing the terrified mother. She made phone calls to friends, including Jamie, who backed up her alibi that they'd been together all afternoon. She cried on cue. She held Wade's hand. And all of it was captured, recorded, documented. At midnight, Wade's phone buzzed with a text from Jed. Emma's vitals are good. She's sleeping naturally now, not from the drugs. I'm in the unit next door. She's safe. Wade closed his eyes in relief. Tomorrow, the trap would close. Tomorrow, Christina and Marco would face justice. But tonight, Wade sat next to his wife and planned her destruction. Chapter 8. The Reckoning. Sunday morning, Marco called with wire transfer instructions. $3 million to an offshore account, untraceable and immediate. Wade played his part perfectly. I've contacted the trustees. They'll release the funds, but it takes 24 hours to transfer that amount. Please, I'm doing everything you asked. Just don't hurt my daughter. You have until tomorrow noon, Marco said. Not a minute later. What Marco didn't know was that the wire transfer was flagged. The moment he tried to access the money, federal agents would pinpoint his location. Carlton had worked magic with the bank, setting up the perfect trap. At 3 p.m., Wade received a call from Christina's phone. But it wasn't her voice. Mr. Robertson? This is Jamie Stout. I need to tell you something about Christina. Wade's pulse jumped. Jamie? What? She's been lying to you. About yesterday, about everything. We weren't together at the gallery. I don't know where she was, but she asked me to lie for her, and I did, but I can't anymore. Not with Emma missing. Mr. Robertson, I think Christina knows something about the kidnapping. Wade blinked. This wasn't part of the plan. Jamie, where is Christina now? She just left my house. She was frantic, talking about needing to fix something. She mentioned a storage unit in Fremont. I'm scared. I think she's involved in something terrible. Wade made a split-second decision. Jamie, call this number. He gave her Harvey's contact. Tell him everything you just told me. Then stay where you are and don't talk to Christina. He hung up and immediately called Terrence. Jamie Stout just flipped. She's talking. Where's Christina? On the move. Heading toward Fremont. Toward the storage unit. Wade's blood ran cold. She's going to Marco. Something's wrong. Move in now. FBI is rolling. Wade, stay where you are. That's my daughter. Wade was already grabbing his keys. I'm not waiting. He drove like a demon, calling Fred. It's happening now. Get to Fremont. Bring Jed. At the storage facility, chaos had erupted. Christina's car was parked haphazardly near Unit 247. Wade could hear shouting. He ran toward the sound and found a scene from a nightmare. Christina was in the storage unit with Marco, and Emma was awake, crying. Marco had a gun. Where the hell had he gotten a gun? And was yelling at Christina. You stupid bitch. You led them here. The money's flagged. The whole thing is blown. Marco, just let her go. We can run. We can. We? There is no we. You're a liability. Marco pointed the gun at Christina. That's when Wade stepped into the unit. Put the gun down, Marco. Marco spun, gun now aimed at Wade. Emma screamed, Daddy, Wade Robertson. The fool. Did you really think you'd win? I already have, Wade said calmly. Behind Marco, he could see Jed creeping closer. FBI is outside. You're surrounded. It's over. Then I've got nothing to lose. Marco's finger tightened on the trigger. Everything happened at once. Jed tackled Marco from behind. The gun went off, bullet hitting the ceiling. Wade lunged for Emma, pulling her into his arms. Christina screamed, and suddenly the unit was full of FBI agents, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Marco fought like a wild animal, but Jed and two agents subdued him. Handcuffs snapped on. Rights were read. And Christina just stood there, frozen, as an agent approached her. Christina Robertson, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit kidnapping, extortion, and fraud. She looked at Wade, and for the first time, he saw real fear in her eyes. Wade, please. I'm sorry. I never meant. You meant all of it, Wade said coldly, holding Emma tight. You chose this. You chose him over our daughter. Over everything. She's my daughter too. No, Wade said. She's not. She's mine. And you're never touching her again. As the agents led Christina away, she was crying. But Wade felt nothing. No satisfaction, no guilt, no vindication. Just emptiness where his love had been. Harvey appeared, putting a hand on Wade's shoulder. Ambulance is here for Emma. She needs to be checked out. Emma clung to Wade's neck. Daddy, don't leave me. Never, baby. I'm right here. At the hospital, Emma was examined and cleared. Physically fine, though she'd need therapy for the trauma. Child Protective Services interviewed Wade, examined the evidence, and made their recommendation. Emma would stay with Wade and Fred. Christina's parental rights would be suspended pending trial. Late that night, Fred drove them home. Emma fell asleep in the back seat. Fred glanced at Wade. "You did it, son." "It doesn't feel like victory," Wade admitted. "It never does. But you saved your daughter. That's what matters." "What happens now?" Fred smiled grimly. Now Marco Berry discovers that his arrest made the news. And certain people in Las Vegas are very interested in his location. His time in prison is going to be difficult. And Christina? Carlton's already talked to the DA. With the evidence we have, the recordings, the texts, Jamie's testimony, they're looking at 15 to 20 years minimum. The embezzlement charges Jed manufactured are also going forward. Even if she beats some of the charges, she'll never walk free. Wade nodded. It was enough. It had to be enough. Chapter 9, New Beginning. 3 months later, Wade stood in Emma's new bedroom at Fred's house, which was now their house. They'd sold the old house. Too many memories. This room was yellow and bright, with drawings of buildings covering the walls and a golden retriever puppy named Justice sleeping in the corner. Emma had adjusted better than Wade had dared hope. Therapy helped. So did the stability of knowing her father and grandfather loved her unconditionally. She still had nightmares sometimes, but they were getting less frequent. Christina had pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges in exchange for a reduced sentence, 15 years with possibility of parole in 10. She'd written letters to Emma that Wade kept in a safe. When Emma was older, if she wanted to read them, that would be her choice. Marco Berry had lasted 3 weeks in county jail before someone connected to the Vegas gambling syndicate found him. He'd been beaten badly enough to require hospitalization. When he recovered, he'd been transferred to federal prison to await trial. Harvey's contacts suggested Marco's life expectancy was measured in months, not years. Wade tried to feel something about that and couldn't. Jamie Stout had testified against Christina in exchange for immunity. She'd claimed she didn't know the full scope of the plan, and the DA believed her. She'd moved out of state shortly after. The art gallery had pressed embezzlement charges against Christina. Even though Jed had fabricated the evidence, their investigation uncovered real financial irregularities. Apparently, Christina had been stealing in small amounts for years. Her reputation was destroyed. As for Wade, he'd thrown himself back into work. The Oakland Youth Center was nearly complete. He'd also started a foundation in Emma's name to help children of incarcerated parents, a way to turn his pain into something constructive. "Daddy." Emma appeared in the doorway, holding her favorite book. "Will you read to me?" Wade smiled. "Always, sweetheart." As they settled into the reading chair, Emma asked the question she asked periodically. "Do you think Mommy really loved me?" Wade had learned not to lie to her. "I think she loved you the way she was capable of loving. But she made terrible choices, and those choices hurt people. Love isn't just a feeling, Emmy. It's actions. It's choosing someone's well-being over your own desires. Your mom didn't do that. But you do," Emma said. Every single day, Wade confirmed. That night, after Emma was asleep, Wade sat with Fred on the back porch. His father handed him a beer. "You know," Fred said, "your mother would have been proud of you. For destroying my marriage and putting my daughter through trauma. For protecting your child. For being strong when it mattered. For not becoming the monster you were fighting." Fred took a long drink. "That's the hardest part, Wade. Staying human when everything in you wants to become something else." Wade thought about that. About the man he'd been and the man he'd become. He'd crossed lines, fabricated evidence, orchestrated revenge, let Marco walk into danger with the Vegas crowd. He'd done things the old Wade Robertson never would have done. But Emma was safe. She was his. She'd grow up knowing her father fought for her, protected her, loved her enough to do hard things. "I'd do it again," Wade said quietly. "All of it. For her." "I know," Fred said. "That's how I know you're still the man you were. Because you did it for her, not for yourself. That's the difference." 6 months later, the trial was over. Christina was serving her sentence. Marco was in federal prison, and word was he'd been stabbed twice already, living in constant fear. The Vegas debt collectors had long memories. Wade had full custody of Emma. The adoption paperwork, making it legal and biological status irrelevant, was complete. Emma Robertson was his daughter in every way that mattered. One Saturday, as they worked together on a model of the Oakland Youth Center, Emma looked up at him. "Daddy, are we going to be okay?" Wade set down his tools and pulled her into his lap. "Yeah, baby. We're going to be better than okay. We're going to be happy. Promise. Promise." And for the first time since his father's phone call had shattered his world, Wade Robertson believed it. They'd survived. They'd won. And most importantly, they'd done it together. The nightmare was over. The future was theirs to build. And Wade Robertson, architect of buildings and now of his own redemption, knew exactly how to construct a life worth living. One day, one choice, one moment of love at a time. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you.